97.9 GRD rocks. Hey, it's Metalhead Ned. And of course, this weekend, the big freaking show is coming back to town at the Van Andel Arena, and that is WWE SummerSlam Heatwave Tour Live. Tickets are still on sale. And of course, you know, WWE couldn't come to town unless we talked to one of them fine gentlemen here on the phone. And I've got a good old superstar by the name of Big E. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We were just talking a little bit earlier about video games and going to E3. How about? Do you want to go to E3?
Yeah, I'd love to. Unfortunately, I don't have the schedule didn't really work out, but I know my tag partner and good friend Xavier Woods is going, so I'll just kind of live vicariously through him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just was watching it, and they just announced Gears of War 4 on Xbox One. I'm like, damn it, now I got to spend like $500 for a new game console.
Yeah, it'll be worth it, though. You won't regret it.
Totally worth it. Now, how I kind of did this interview, I went out and asked a bunch of people, well, not asked a bunch of people, but I asked listeners to kind of come up with their own questions. And I'm like, well, if you could interview Big E, what would you ask him? So I kind of went on a limb, and I'm like, oh, God, hopefully we don't piss him off or something like that. So we'll get started.
We'll see.
I got this one from a gentleman by the name of Eric. And what was it like in the NXT, and what was the transition from developmental to the big stage like?
I had a blast in NXT. For me, it was kind of my first introduction to working with in front of a larger crowd. Not, you know, it's smaller in that sense, but you go from FCW, and a lot of our shows were in front of a dozen people or, 20 people, very small shows. But this was the first time we would have, a full packed crowd that was energetic. Mm-hmm. And, when I was in NXT, I was able to steal from King Kong Bundy and use the 5 count, which really resonated with fans and really gave me an opportunity to connect with people. So my time in NXT was awesome for me. It was really just the marker that I was ready to move up to the main roster. And I think the transition, honestly, the biggest thing as far as moving to the main roster is dealing with all the stuff outside of the ring. Because I always say, the ring's still 20 by 20.
Yeah.
The measurements are the same from NXT to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest change, honestly, is dealing with the travel, dealing with all of your obligations outside of the ring, doing stuff like this, doing interviews.
You're right, yeah.
And that's a big part of the job as well. But, I had a blast in NXT, and, it was, something I'll always treasure.
Yeah, definitely, man. Now, obviously, you've been in wrestling for quite some time now. I'm just kind of curious, what was... I've been watching wrestling ever since like the WWF, WWC day, or what am I saying? WCW days. And I guess you could say, what would you pick as your favorite wrestler of all time? Like, who's the guy that inspired you to get out there?
Goldberg. Definitely Goldberg for sure.
Oh,
I was a big WCW fan as a kid. And he just, he kind of, I was probably, I think, 11, 12, that age.
Mm-hmm.
When he really had his rise to fame.
Yeah.
And he was just a guy who had so much energy. The crowd loved him. And I actually got to meet him at a signing. I want to say it was either a Target or a Walmart. I remember my dad and I stood in line for at least half an hour. We were on our way to church afterwards. We were in our Sunday best. But he was so polite and pleasant, and that's a memory that I won't forget. I was gravitated towards the guys who I thought were larger than life. And for me, the energy he brought, he's just a big dude who was explosive, an excellent athlete, and I think the biggest thing was the way he connected with the fans, and that's something that I always caught my attention and my eye, and really my fandom.
Obviously the big news recently was that Christopher Lee died. Everyone's talking about Christopher Lee dying. But what they also forgot to mention is that Dusty Rhodes recently passed away too. And I got another question for you regarding that one from a fan. How do you feel that he influenced the younger talent, and what did he mean to you in those younger days of you?
Oh, well, obviously Dusty's passing is huge from not only the standpoint of how big a superstar he was in his heyday in the ring, but I'm not sure if everyone knows how much he's involved and has been involved in developmental. My very first day in wrestling, Dusty Rhodes was there. Mm-hmm. So he was in charge of promos and creative for WWE developmental for all these years. So anytime we had character work or, trying to find what direction you wanted to go in the ring or developing a character or really honing that side, the creative side of wrestling, which is vital. The moves and being in great shape, all that's important as well. But what really gets people to gravitate towards you is that side. And every single talent that has come up since, I want to say Dusty started in FCW maybe 2007, 2008. So every talent pretty much that you see on the main roster that was in FCW at that time, or NXT, all the way, almost for the last decade, worked directly with Dusty Rhodes and got to learn and benefit from his teaching. So obviously he has a huge mark, a huge fingerprint on our business, and there are a lot of people obviously that were very saddened by his passing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely going to leave a mark on wrestling history for the rest of his life. And I'm just like, and who's going to be the next Dusty Rhodes in a way?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And, not only are you a WWE superstar, but you're pretty well-known power lifter as well, too. And that was another question to ask. What is the max amount that you can bench press?
My best bench press ever is 575.
Holy crap, man. I can bench maybe like 100 or something like that. But yeah, that's about it. With 575, I can do that.
Close. It's not a big difference.
Yeah. Do you still compete in powerlifting?
I haven't been able to just because of our schedule. We're on the road. We've had, especially as of late, we've had 5 shows a week every week. So
yeah.
I have about a day and a half off, and our schedule really just doesn't allow it. But I still train hard, and it's something that, maybe one day I'll be able to get back to. But right now our schedule doesn't allow it. And obviously my priority is what I do in the ring right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Now, would you say that you're the strongest man in the locker room?
It's hard to say. My specialty is powerlifting, so bench, squat, and deadlift, those are the things that I'm better at. I know we have guys like Cesaro and Cena who are really strong in the Olympic lifts and clean and jerk and snatch. That's not really my thing, but it all kind of depends on what facet of strength you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you were talking to someone who really wants to get into wrestling or professional wrestling, what are some of the first things that you would tell them to just kind of get into and basically eventually work up to where you're at?
I think the biggest thing is to make sure you're in the best shape of your life.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Obviously, the cosmetic side is a big part of our business. We have HD cameras. We have Raw and SmackDown every single week and pay-per-views, and you're in front of the cameras all the time. So get in the best possible shape that you can be in and be ready to work very hard. I spent about 3.5 years working on my craft pretty much every single day in developmental before I got an opportunity. And there are guys who are in the business for a decade or 15 years before they even get a chance to wrestle on the main roster. So that's a huge part. You got to be patient. You got to be willing to work hard. And, the rewards are unbelievable. I've had the opportunity to go to places like South Africa and Europe several times, to Japan. But just be willing to work hard.
Yeah, definitely. Now, is this exactly, when you were kind of starting off in NXT and everything like that, is this where you pictured yourself being like, this is the place I wanted to be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the goal. And I think the really cool thing with NXT now is it has a lot more exposure, and it has a huge fan base as well. But the goal always for me was to get to the main roster, and I never felt like I made it or got to a point where I can rest now. You always have bigger goals, and I have bigger goals within WWE. But making it to the main roster was always my goal.
All right. Well, now that you're in WWE, what is the goal? Like, title heavyweight, what do you want to do? Like, what is the main thing?
Yeah, I think being WWE World Heavyweight Champion, that's the pinnacle of our business, of what we do. That means you've made it. That's the time I'll probably look down from the mountaintop and say I've made it. But, we have a bunch of goals in the New Day as well. Being with Xavier and with Kofi has been, the most fun I've had in my career is with those two guys in the last several months. Have been good for us. Last night didn't go so well.
Right.
But we've had a lot of fun together, and we want to continue that. So we have a lot of goals as a group and as individuals as well. And I think that's the cool thing is we can go for the tag titles, and we can also pursue individual titles as well. So we'll see what happens. But we're obviously very ambitious, and obviously, right now our first priority is getting our tag titles back.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what do you think is going to be happening this weekend over here in Grand Rapids?
Obviously, we're going to see all of your favorites. For fans, I said there's nothing like going to a live event. I think our television shows, Raw and SmackDown, are great as well. You see the glitz and the glamour, but I really love the live events and the fact that you have an opportunity to be in front of the fans. It's just more intimate. Obviously, we'll have guys. Kevin Owens will be there. We'll be there. John Cena, the face of our industry, will be there as well. So it'll be a great show. Guys like Cesaro will be there as well. And it's honestly one of the best values in entertainment you can get. I believe tickets start at $15 and they're still available. So plug. make sure to pick those up.
Yeah. Cool, man. Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. And like you said, seeing a live event, you can see it on TV and that's all great and everything, but it's when you go to the actual event, it is just a freaking good time. I have so much fun every single year I go.
Yeah, it's a blast, man. And I think the cool thing is we get to spend more time in front of our fans. And with TV, we just have more restrictions. And obviously, we're shooting a television show, and that's important. But for the live events, we just have more freedom, and there's more interaction with the fans. And that's so much fun for us as performers.
Just to kind of wrap things up, I got this couple interesting questions from fans, of course. What else is new? On your off days, and even though there's not really many of that in your schedule, on your off days, what do you kind of like to do?
Honestly, I'm a homebody. I don't like leaving my house much. I've become, as many people have, a Netflix addict. Just watching shows like Bloodline with Kyle Chandler and Linda Cardellini. I got into Daredevil.
Oh,
I just finished
man.
that.
Such a good show.
Awesome show. It's really cool to see Marvel, adapted in a setting like that on Netflix.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the new season of Orange is the New Black. Haven't had a chance to start that yet.
Oh, man, yeah, and it was leaked early, too.
Yeah, it surprised a lot of people. It came out, right before I was about to go to bed, and then I was on Twitter, and I saw that it came out. I was like, I got to get some sleep before I have to leave. But when I get home, I'll definitely do that. So, yeah, my time at home is very low-key, very boring, but it works for me.
Now, if you could pick one food to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I love sushi. There's a great spot in 5 minutes from my house in Land O'Lakes, just outside of Tampa, that has some of the best sushi I've ever had. So I pretty much get sushi on a daily basis when I'm home.
Oh, it's so good,
and
man.
that's my thing. So sushi, definitely.
Yeah, there's this place here in Grand Rapids. If you're here and you get the time, which I doubt you will, there's this little place out in Cascade that makes this really good cooked sushi, and it's amazing, man. You got to check it out.
There's also, in Grand Rapids, one of the best burgers I've ever had. I want to say Stella's.
Oh, dude, Stella's, the arcade and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, so
we had
good.
such a blast. So the three of us went after a show. I want to say we had SmackDown in Grand Rapids the last time we were there.
Yep. Yeah, you did.
And we had people were telling us it's the best burger you'll ever have. I was like, we'll see. And then I had it, and I agreed. It was I think they melt the cheese inside the burger.
They stuff the
Phenomenal.
burgers, yeah.
Excellent.
Sweet, man. Well, be sure to check out WWE SummerSlam Heatwave Tour live at the Van Andel Arena this weekend, Saturday, June 20th. Tickets start really cheap, and just like Big E said himself, man, it's a very good value for your buck, man. So be sure to check it out. WWE SummerSlam Heatwave Tour. Big E is going to be there. Big E, you got anything else you need to say, man?
That's about it. Come out to the show. You'll have a blast. You won't regret it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for coming in. And be sure to check out WWE this weekend from 97.9 GRD. Rocks.